Okay, so let's stay silent for a minute or two before other students arrive. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this monthly get-together. Thank you, Venerable De Hong, for joining us. And so once a month, we get together for a sitting meditation, mindfulness meditation, and as well as loving kindness. But in addition, Venerable De Hong will be sharing with us some Dharma teaching. Um, so last week we spent a whole session on a book written by a very famous singer, Tina Turner, who I didn't even know until her death that she was actually a devout Buddhist. And so it was very interesting to see her journey, her spiritual journey. So in a way, I think today is a very important topic as well. Venerable De Hong will be talking with us on the three marks of existence, or sometimes called the three Dharma seals. So imagine that you're on a journey, everybody on their own journey, but there's a destination. And how do you know if you reach the destination? And so the Dharma seals is like when you visit the country, you get a passport, you have a passport, and the country has to put a stamp on it to show that, yeah, you arrived. The only difference between Buddhism and other religion is that that stamp of approval is not given by to you by anyone else. It's something that you actually have to experience on your own. So with that, I'm going to turn the podium over to Venerable De Hong, who's going to start a very important discussion with us today. Thank you, Venerable De Hong.
Thank you. Can you enable share for me, Danny?
Yes, hang on just one
Mm-hmm.
second. Sorry about that. Okay.
Thank you. Um, Good evening, everyone, wherever you are. So tonight we will discuss the topic that Danny just said, the three marks of existence, or the three Dharma seals, the Buddhist term that we used. You could also call it the three universal principles, because this topic apply to everyone, whether you are a Buddhist or not, um, because it speaks of the human experience, or the human condition that we are in this planet. So just first, I just want to show a couple of pictures of the one yard, which is Sia in Ironwood State Prison. The prison is located in Blythe, California, which is about 200 miles from my house. Um, this is quite a big group too. And again, all these guys are not Buddhist, but they're willing to come and learn and meditate with me. And in the circle that we are sitting in, I gave them a prompt. This happened when we were doing the day-long meditation for VSAC, for Buddha's birthday. And this was in July. Yeah. And the prompt that I gave them was, what is your purpose in life? Just as we discover in Tina Turner's book what her purpose was. Her purpose near the end, until near the end of her life, was to sing, to cheer people up, and that was her purpose. That was what made life meaningful to her. So I want to get this poem out for everyone that I encounter, just so that it makes them think, and also it helps them to know what to do or what to focus, and how to find meanings in their lives. Anyway, the three marks of existence are change or impermanence or inconstancy, depending on who is using it. And the second is not self. The third one is dukkha or suffering. Now, back in the Buddha's time, or when he was giving these talks, they were given separately. They were not given in one setting. And later on, when people who compiled the Pali text together, they kind of like lump these three topics together. Anyway, before I start, I want to share with you guys the lyrics from a drama series from Hong Kong back in 1977. I happened to listen to the song, I think last year or earlier this year. And the title of the drama series is A House is Not a Home. But the lyrics is very Buddhist. And I took out I only translate a few phrases. So it started with, do you know that things are constantly changing? Change is eternal. Change can be good or bad. So, and withstand the setbacks, meaning get through it. And the last line is welcome change. I embrace eternity with you in this life, meaning that in this life, change is permanent, is eternal. Just as the present moment, each moment that we have is eternal. Another way to look at change is, death in a way is change. But because when we lose someone, the term that we use is grief. We don't use change, especially in America, in the Western countries. But in the Buddhist world, we just use the term change. I thought, and just so you guys know, most Asian countries, let's say China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Vietnam, the majority of people are Buddhist. So so the songs and the lyrics that they wrote for the past few hundred years, they are very, very Buddhist, and even in the literature as well, and they reflect the Buddhist influence in these countries. So I found this sutta. It's called the Dharma Niyama Sutta, the discourse on the order. It was translated by Dharma Bhikkhu, and it basically said right here, monks, whether or not there is the arising of the Tathagatas, this property stands, this steadfastness of the Dharma, this orderliness of the Dharma, all processes are inconstant. And that's what it is. Everything is constantly changing. The Tathagata is an epithet referring to the Buddha who awakened. The Tathagata directly awakens to that, breaks through to that, directly awakening and breaking through to that. He declares it, teaches it, describes it, sets it forth. He reviews it, explains it, and makes it plant. All processes are inconstant. The same thing, except that all processes are stressful. That life can be stressful. And the last one is that all phenomena are not self. And the last line is again, all phenomena are not self. Um, this is a way for us to contemplate and to apply everything in our lives in the way that we deal with the world, in the way in which we live our lives. So here further, he said, I exhaust you, monks. All fabrications are subject to decay. Reach consummation through heedfulness. It won't be long until the Tathagata's total binding. In 3 months' time from now, the Tathagata will totally unbind. This was the last line in the sutta called the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, which the Buddha said that he told the monks, his disciple at the time, that they need to be heedful because everything is constantly changing. Everything is subject to decay. So those were the three, I guess, topic in this whole talk tonight. But like, how do you get it more detail? So I used a writing, an article, which is found in this book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching by Thich Nhat Hanh. Because Thich Nhat Hanh, he was a very, very prolific writer, and he broke things down. He made things much more simpler and clearer for us to understand and to contemplate and to apply to us. So what is change? What is impermanence? What is inconstancy? What it comes down to is basically a practice for us to deal with reality. Because I took this line from the book by Bhante Gunaratana's The Eight Mindful Steps to Happiness. He basically said the reality that we face is our ever-changing experience of the ever-changing world, the world within us, and the world we perceive through our senses. When we do that, then we see how everything is just slipping away, meaning that our surrounding is constantly changing. Everything that we come into contact, from things to relationships now, and within ourselves, our senses, our feeling, our mind, our emotion, our mood, our attitude, everything, they are constantly changing. We will notice it when we are mindful, when we become more mindful, more aware. Otherwise, if we go about life on a daily basis without ever taking the time to meditate or to take it easy, to slow down, we wouldn't notice it. So everything is constantly changing. But what is not the impact, but time? I'm not sure what it come, but as you guys know, every time continues to move ahead. We cannot stop time. Time is a factor that literally causes change. If we can stop time, which is not possible, perhaps there may not be change. So I just throw it out so you guys can think about it. Anyway, so here impermanence means that everything changes, nothing remains the same in any consecutive moment. And even that, they still cannot be accurately described as the same or as different from what they were a moment ago. Heraclitus said that we wouldn't step into the same river twice, meaning that, let's say you guys go to the ocean front or the river or the lake or whatever, or the pond, right? When you step into that water, the water is flowing. When you step into the water and then later on you get back in, that water is different. It's not the same water that you stepped into earlier. And that's what change is. When sometimes, if we don't pay attention, we don't even realize that. And here, Tin Han also quoted Confucius' writing, that when he was standing on the bank of the river and watching the water flow by, he said, oh, it flows like that day and night, never ending. So things are constantly changing. What it means here is that when we have insight, when we reflect on it, it helps us to go beyond all concepts, just so that we don't grasp onto anything. And it helps us to go beyond the same and different and coming and going. Uh, Things may appear the same, but then they are different. That's what he meant here. Just so that we don't get stuck in concept or in word that we used. Here, going back to the discussion of the river, it helps us to see that the river is not the same river, but also it's not different. For example, when you look at a candle, the candle that we lit, before we went to bed, is not the same flame the next morning when we were to light the same candle again. So the flame on the table is not two, but it's not one either. They're not the same. And that's what impermanence is, and that's what makes life possible. For example, he used a lot of example, but here, let's say you have a kid, a boy or a girl, and because of change, right, because of time, your kid keeps growing up to becoming an adult, and then when they get married, assuming they get married, they have kids, and then you have grandkids. That's what makes life possible, and that's what makes life interesting, pleasurable. At the same time, it also can cause suffering when change don't go our way. That's the idea. So everything else is in life, is constantly changing, constantly growing, or subject to decay. And so that's what so then Tin Han said, instead of complaining about change, we should say warm welcome and long live impermanence. So when we can see the miracle of impermanence, our sadness and suffering will pass. Not only that we need to accept it, we need to fully understand it. Otherwise, we will suffer, we will reject it. And here, if you guys ever heard of the term, Tin Han coined the term interbeing, what it means is that because things are constantly changing, they are in a way, they are interbe, or things are because they influence each other. They don't stay the same at the same time. There's not a self. There's nothing in these things that are permanent. So, and here he refers to a marriage or a couple. Here, a marriage. When two people go into a marriage, love was great. But when people change, period, and when there is a conflict, and we are not able to be mindful of that, then we want to get out of it because we don't like things that make us uncomfortable. So, then, the couple would want to divorce. But if we fully understand impermanence and cultivate and nurture love, then the marriage can last. Um, but you guys have probably heard of the sentence, it takes work. Marriage or love takes work and practice. Then on to the concept of not self. Not self is basically a manifestation of impermanence. They are two sides of reality. When everything or anything that is constantly changing, there is no substance to it. There is not a separate self. And that's why they are impermanent. And that's the reality that we faced. And you can apply that concept to our body, which I think I will cover next month, the five aggregates. This physical body is constantly changing. When we said myself, like where is it in this body that you can find a self? We use it as a conventional label or as a reference. But when you apply this concept of not self or change to this body, there is nothing in this body that you can say a self. And that's why he clarified that when we use the term self, we think that this is not changing, but the thing is, our body is constantly changing. Our emotions, our feelings, our perceptions are constantly changing. And you apply that to anger, sadness, love, or even loneliness, they are constantly changing. And this comes from the practice of mindfulness of feeling. I think I might have done some of that before. So nothing can stand alone by itself, and that's why he coined the term interbe. And for example, he used an example of flower. A flower cannot exist by itself. It depends on the soil, the rain, the water, fertilizer, or insects, right, for the flower to grow. There is no being, but there is interbeing. So when we understand everything in terms of interbeing, then we are closer to the truth or to the reality at a subtle sense. Meaning that interbeing means that it is empty of a separate an identity. There is no separate self. And also, he include the term emptiness. We keep the folks especially in Mahayana, they use emptiness a lot. And here, not self also means emptiness, because it basically means that there is this absence of a separate self. When you look at things, they are empty of a separate self. That's what it means here. But then at the same time, it does not mean that nothing exists. That's why we need to use the term interbe. So here he said emptiness does not mean not non-being, and does not mean being either. It transcends all concepts. So quickly then, when we understand and accept change and not self, then we don't necessarily suffer. We can overcome our suffering. And that's why Chen Yang used nirvana, but I just want to use the term dukkha here because this is the human condition and the experience that we live on a daily basis. And when we are not mindful, for the most part, when we get caught off guard, then we suffer because things happen, things change, people change. And that's the key here that I'm trying to emphasize. Um, so here, Chen Han said the not self and impermanence means to understand the truth. They are not the truth itself, but they are instruments that help us to understand the concept, to go beyond the concept. For example, here he said, "Oh, you wouldn't put someone in prison because they contradict you. You're not using one concept against another. These are the means that will lead us to the ultimate truth. And Buddhism is a skillful path to help us. It's not a path of fanatics." So and lastly, he said, understand the no. What does happiness mean to you? So here he said the Buddha said happiness can only be possible in the present moment, in here and now. So go back to and examine your notion and ideas of happiness. You may recognize that the conditions of happiness that are already there in your life are enough. Then happiness can be instantly yours. Just as when we cover Tina Turner's book last month, happiness becomes you. And it's like how when we feel happy, like how do you extend that happiness? And that is for her, it was from her spiritual practice. So that it comes to an end. I will lead a meditation tonight. And for tonight, I will, after a few minutes, I will get you guys to the practice of appreciative joy or sympathetic joy. Is that when we look at people who are happy, we are happy for them, and we use their joy, their blessing, or happiness as the source of our joy and happiness. So we feel happy when people are happy. This is one way to get rid of our envy, of our jealousy, of our judgment, or our uh, conceit. Okay? So, with that, let's meditate. Let's take your posture, whether you are sitting, standing, or lying down. Make sure that it is comfortable. And let's take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you breathe in, your body may tense up, and that's how it is because your body needs to take some effort to fill your lungs with air. But when you breathe out, it takes no effort, and that's how you can relax your body. So tell yourself or remind yourself to relax. Remind your brain to relax, that you are safe. So you can put all your guard down, put down any mask, any projection that you put on. Just allow yourself to be who you are in this very moment. It helps to let go of your thoughts, planning, fear, worry. Just let it all go. Stay with the breath in and out and relaxed. Once you are done, then breathe normally through your nose. And allow your body now to settle. Start with a smile. Notice how you feel when you smile and how that feeling gives rise to the physiological sensations in the body. Then be mindful that the feeling, the sensations are quickly fading away. And that's how feelings are. They come and go. How you feel next depends on your mind, your body, or both. So let's stay with the breath and continue with the sensual practice by first noticing your environment, the space around you, the room temperature. Let's check in with your mind, see how busy it is and restless wandering around. And you are aware of it. Check in with your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. When you're not mindful, your mind affects all of this, all aspects of your life, from mental to physical. And check in with your sense of hearing, knowing that you cannot turn off your hearing consciousness. Your sense of seeing, smell, and taste, these three senses, when you're meditating, are at rest because there isn't any trigger. Then your sense of touch in the body, just simply being mindful of any tension, sensation, tightness throughout your body. The sensual practice helps you to stay grounded and centered no matter where you are at any given moment in any posture, so you don't easily get distracted or feel overwhelmed when you are being triggered. Just notice how grounded you are. If your mind wanders away, bring it back to the breath. Let's take the next few minutes to process the thoughts in your conscious mind by allowing your thoughts to come up one at a time, and then let it go. Try not to react to it or question or investigate, not at this moment. A thought could be an image, a conversation, an encounter, a sentence, an experience, or a memory. Whatever that comes up, quickly recognize it and then let it go. You see that you have no control over the thoughts that come up, but you do have the power, the ability to let them go. And this is how you clear your mind. You may notice your desire, any craving, any clinging. Let them pass. Keep in mind that craving and clinging are not helpful to your practice. and also to your life. So don't act upon them. And if your desire is not practical and feasible, then drop it as well. Think of your mind as your home. This mindfulness that you're cultivating is the owner of this home. And the thoughts that appear are guests coming to your front door. So, sitting at the comfort of your home, you can see the guests at the front door one at a time. Let them go. Don't invite them into your home, and don't follow them out of your home. So stay with the breath, stay home. This is, in a way, you are cultivating concentration as well when you stay with the breath. You may feel lighter as you get rid of a lot of the thoughts in your conscious mind. Just notice how you feel right now. When you notice your mind wanders away, just patiently bring it back to the breath and stay with the breath. Stay home. Check to see whether you are feeling calm and peaceful, that your mind is somewhat settled, less wandering, less chatting, less judging. Then let's move on and practice appreciative joy. So reflect or think of someone that you know who is happy, who is blessed with joy and perhaps fortune. And let's practice sympathetic joy by wishing that their blessing and joy continue to grow. And use that as a source of your joy and happiness by repeating some of the following phrases. May your happiness and good fortune continue. May your happiness flourish. May your fortune flourish and growing. And notice how you feel when you repeat these phrases. Notice your feeling. Can you feel a sense of joy and happiness from these phrases when you think of this person? Just continue to repeat those phrases. May your happiness and good fortune continue. May your happiness flourish. May your fortune continue to grow. Is your mind free of jealousy, envy, and conceit? That you are wholeheartedly happy for that person and that you feel it too. And that is sympathetic joy or appreciative joy. So continue to repeat these phrases. Allow them to sink into your subconscious mind so that every time when you run into someone who is happy and blessed, you are happy for them and you feel happy as well. That inside your mind, inside your heart, is free of envy and jealousy and conceit. And allow the practice to become your new habits so that when you noticed something, a bit of jealousy or envy in your mind, you turn to the practice naturally, organically, and that's the practice. And you can think of someone else, as you continue. Anyone, even someone that you just met, someone at the office, or a neighbor down the street. Again, notice how you feel. May your happiness and fortune continue. May your happiness flourish. May your good fortune grow. And even may your blessing continue. And notice the joy from within your mind as a result of this practice. So let's continue to sit with this practice in silence for the next few minutes. Let's check in with your mind. See how settled, how clear it is. Less reactive, less judging, less wandering, less chattering. Your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. Notice that this time when you're mindful, you're in control of, you don't have to suppress them, and that you're in charge of all aspects of your life. Check in with your body, your posture, and notice the qualities of mindfulness, concentration, patience, kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy that you just cultivated. With that, I hand it over to Danny. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Venerable De Hong. So, I was an entrepreneur for many years. I'm thinking maybe like 13, 14 years, 13 years at least. I started two companies from zero. Um, One actually had a lot of investment, but eventually failed. And then the other one, I didn't take any investment, but it took a lot of hard work, and it was successful enough that I retired, sold the company and retired. Um, that company later on actually went IPO and become a $500 million company. This is long before I was a Buddhist. But looking back, I think the thing that I learned about running my own business, starting my own business, and running my own business is in fact the three marks of existence. So most people look at that and they say, wow, Buddhism is so pessimistic. They always talk about things, you know, changing and no self, suffering, all that. But in fact, it's not at all pessimistic. I mean, there's a lot of acceptance. You just have to accept things, but it's actually quite proactive. So when I was running a business, as an entrepreneur, you actually embrace impermanence. Think about what would happen if everything stayed the same. We'll still be using IBM mainframes. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing that a company like I don't know anybody knows this company, Digital Equipment, came along and start building mini computers, and then some other company came along and start building PCs, and then and then someone decided that they really want to have portable devices, and that become an iPhone and iPad. Things are changing all the time, and as an entrepreneur, we actually embrace those change is actually opportunity. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's important to understand the difference between impermanence and randomness. Things are changing all the time, not because they're random. There's reason for things to happen, and just because we don't see all the reasons doesn't mean that um, it's random. I think one has to look at the stock market to know that it's not random, even though it's unpredictable. But it's
Mm-hmm.
unpredictable because we don't have all the data,
Yeah.
right? And so I think one has to understand that in permanence and is in fact what it is. Things are always different, and this is important because sometimes we would like things to not change when it's so pleasant, right?
Yeah.
We would like Sunday to be a non-changing day so we don't have to go to work on Monday.
Saturday and Sunday, right?
But then,
Yeah.
comes Monday, and Tuesday, and then you thank God for Friday. So,
Yeah. That's the
so I
American
think,
attitude, you know.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's so obvious. And the other one is not self, which is a little bit more difficult concept. But in a very limited way, again, talking about business and entrepreneurship, we have something called leading from behind, which is the kind of leadership that we embrace, which is that you think that a leader has to lead um, from the front, that you're taking charge and you're bringing everybody along with you, but that actually doesn't work that well. If you make it everything about yourself, and then you say, hey, I see things, let's go, and without really taking the time to consult with the team to explain the conditions to your team and why you think there's an opportunity, and let them buy into to your vision, and then basically lead from behind is really how we do it. And so it's really important as an entrepreneur to learn to put away your ego, even though your ego is what's driving the business. But you have to kind of, you know, understand that you have to take a step back and accept that success has to do with managing your own ego. And so that's not exactly not self, but it's a it's sort of it's how the concept of it's not self is used
Mm-hmm.
as an entrepreneur. And then finally, suffering here doesn't, we always think about suffering when things are bad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you suffer when things are good too.
Yeah.
So I used to tell people, I said, now, we have all these conservation law, conservation of mass, conservation of momentum, conservation energy. I said, let me introduce you a very important conservation law for entrepreneurship. It's what I call conservation of single malt whiskey. If you don't drink too much on your way up, you don't have to drink so much on your way down.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that, things go around, and when things are good, hey, I mean, Friday, the stock market was really good. I was about to sell some stock, and then comes long weekend, and then today, it went down so much that, if you had invested in the last, you lose a lot of money today. And then you say, well, that's the way it goes. Tomorrow might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I like that. I like that. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. So we'll continue a month from today.
Yeah.
Uh,
October 1st.
October 1st.
Yeah. And I plan to talk about the five aggregates for October.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Because
Sounds
I
good.
want to build up the basis for us to talk about Buddhist psychology, but these are the basis of Buddhist psychology.
Yeah. Yeah. I look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey. It's a journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you